Why do I say that building a strategic narrative is a practice as opposed to a product? I used to think that it was all about writing a piece of content that would tell a version of your company's story. And I've changed my mind. Yes, I used to think that, but I realized, that was many years ago. I realized working with more and more entrepreneurs, more and more companies, that what really mattered, what really impacted their success was how they would mobilize people over time. And I realized that focusing on writing one piece, whether it's your website, whether it's a sales deck, a pitch deck, whether it's an internal document, a strategy document, all of that was great, but it was very static. And also, it was something that people thought about as a piece they could delegate to somebody. So they were not committed to building it on their own, not necessarily alone, but building it with their intentional thought process and putting skin in the game. And over time, I realized that what really mattered was repetition about the narrative and different ways to explain it to people in different format, different length, different tones, different voices, in different places, maybe not necessarily talking, but also acting. So that's why I evolved my thinking to realize that building a strategic narrative is a practice. It is a process versus a product. Yes, it is something that you do every day. It is something that you get to activate, to breathe life into every day as you work with your team inside your company, inside your organization, even if it's a very small business. Maybe you're a team of one. Maybe you're a team of a handful of people or a few dozen people, or you're a very large team, but that's all internal. It's something you get to work on outside when you meet with potential clients, when you meet with partners, when you meet with people in your community, you're doing networking. All of these are occasions to activate and really realize what your strategic narrative is about. A strategic narrative is open-ended. So you need to practice it every day so that people feel like they're invited in what you're trying to build. So more and more, I started to realize, okay, this is a practice, this is a process, because it's evolutionary. Another aspect of why I say this is a practice is because it evolves over time. The context changes around you. And maybe there is this trend, this big change happening, and that explains why your offer, why your product matters more than before for the people you serve. But this may change. Of course, it may change. If you think about what happened early 2020, companies had a narrative that was not taking into consideration COVID. And you may have forgotten about that because now we've been exposed to COVID now for over that more than 2 years, 2.5 years, when at the date I'm recording this video in 1st of July 2022. But narratives, entire companies' narratives have shifted because of a sudden shift, major shift in our context. So your strategic narrative is also something that you need to adapt, right? It's a process because you get to refine it, you get to explore it every day. And it's a process because just like an artist or an athlete, if you don't practice it, if you don't exercise, if you don't evolve it, then it dies, then it disappears. I hear so many companies tell me, oh yeah, we've got that covered. We did it last year and it's posted on our website. And when I meet with their team, I go, okay, what is your company about? What do you guys do? What is the number one reason why your company should exist? Why, I ask candid questions that are very simple and yet very effective, because the answers that I get are completely different from one place, one department to the other, one person to the others. There's little common denominator. There is little connection here. I go to to the marketing team, and I hear this really nice purpose statement and values and mission, and I get I get to see the brand book, the guidelines, and then the next day I show up with people doing technical things, maybe research and development, or they're in charge of operations, and I ask the same question and I get a completely different answer. And that's a problem, right? Feels like we're not on the same boat. We're shooting in different directions. We're misaligned. So if you have a product, if you think about your strategic narrative as a product, don't get me wrong, that's good, that's great, that's a good place to start. But think about it as a practice, because that's the dimension that you want to get into to fully activate what it is and to really get all the rewards, all the power, all the leverage out of this exercise. So I think about it as a practice, because also I've been working with companies who now have embedded this practice in their leadership habits, in their processes, and they see that it keeps them stronger, it keeps them aligned, it keeps them different from other organizations in their same market, in their same industry, and they're more they're more efficient. They just spend less time figuring out where they are. They're just more adaptive. Number one reason is probably the number one reason they adapt to their environment better. They adapt to sudden changes much better. And if you think about it if you think about it as a practice, then you think about it as a process, and it may sound a bit new and foreign and different at first, but then it means that you embed this approach every day. It means that there are exercises you can do. And the exercises that I'm thinking about, I do these exercises all the time with the entrepreneurs I help. It builds up their muscle, their strategic narrative muscle, so that at any point in time, any situation, they are able to communicate and to act and behave in a way that mobilizes people around them. They can be in a situation where they are selling. They can be in a situation where they are recruiting people, when they are looking for funds, when they are launching new products. The same narrative helps them every day to do all of those things. Of course, it shows up different matters, different aspects of it. It shows them sometimes in a shorter, very short, very, very concise, maybe 15, 30 seconds line that they have to, they want to express, or it shows up in a 1 or 2 hours meeting with the board. That's really that agility that I'm talking about. I will be launching in July a new program, a new series of strategic narrative online courses, and I will share with people interested in this series the exercises that I teach every leader, every entrepreneur to build their strategic narrative practice, right? Their strategic narrative practice. That's the word of the day, I guess, and the word of the week. I've been thinking a lot about this. So I'm launching this series to make this practice more available to people. I want this to be actionable, practical, tangible, and also fun for you to experiment. This series of courses will happen every Thursday. I haven't even published the details yet. I'm just sharing this with you with what I've wrote on my internal document here. So my narrative is coming through this video live in real time. I will invite people. If you're on my email list, I will invite you. I will give you the information to get access to these online courses. There are going to be 90-minute segments where you're going to get to practice different things to strengthen your strategic narrative. Maybe you'll realize that there are areas where your narrative is not strategic because you haven't intentionally thought about it. You haven't really developed it. And so there will be an occasion for you to see what are the things you could do to build that system of stories that create a narrative for your organization, a narrative that hopefully strengthen your agility, strengthen your durability, makes your work easier, makes mobilizing people with you more effective. I will launch this series very soon. Thank you so much for tuning in once again, and I'll post the detail in the comments around that video as soon as they're available. So one more time, once again, think about your strategic narrative as a practice versus a product. This will get you so much further. I wish you well, and I hope to see you again in one of my events, one of my e-videos. If you have any questions or any comments, please contact me at metahelm.com or strategicnarrative.com. Thank you so much.